Hey y'all, it's Dr. Shamanda. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things mental health, personal finance, and overall strategies to live your best life. Today is day 16 of this 28-day money education challenge, and I am sharing with you guys different topics or answering questions about different topics, different opinions and thoughts around money topics, right? But specifically money topics about mental health and money, right? And specifically from the perspective of a licensed therapist. Now, if you're new here, I am licensed as a mental health and addictions therapist in North Carolina. And I have my own private practice and where I specialize with helping high achieving women who are struggling with burnout, setting boundaries, things of that sort, but also helping them heal their relationship with money. I'm also a financial coach who helps other people outside of high achieving women with managing their mindset and their finances as well. So super excited to share this challenge with you guys. Now, today I wanted to continue on the topic of investing because yesterday's topic, what did we talk about yesterday? Yesterday we talked about should you invest with unstable income? So we're going to continue on talking about investing. And today's question is why investing triggers so much fear, right? Whether you're a man or a female, male or female, most people tend to feel afraid when it comes to investing. I know for me personally, I didn't grow up in a family that invested. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I don't think most people in my family know about what investing is. Unless they heard it from me. But I'm not being funny. I'm just saying. It just wasn't a thing. I know my grandparents never said anything about it. My parents never said anything about it. So, it just wasn't a thing. And so I think a lot of people, when they think about investing, unless they grew up in it or around people who invested, it's a very taboo, like scary topic and idea. It almost feels like gambling, but we'll talk about that shortly. So the first thing I wanted to share is that investing requires letting go of control. So of course this is mental health and money, right? Investing can definitely trigger a lot of anxiety for most people. We know that we work really hard for our money, and it's like, oh, so you want me to put my hard-earned money into this stock market and hope that it grows, but I know what happened in 2008 and all these other, times when it crashed. You want me to take my money and risk this happening? Absolutely not. So for most people, they would rather save their money, right? If they're going to do anything, they can feel like, with saving it feels safer, right? Because at least they can see the money, right? They have access to it. It's not in this market that's like constantly up and down. Investing basically requires you to release control to the markets and what the market is doing, what people are doing with their spending, the government, depending on what Trump's saying that day. Y'all know how I feel about that. Y'all know, if you watch any of my budget videos, you know what I'm talking about. Like, he can say one word and the market is down. It's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Please stop talking. Y'all know what I mean? And so for most people, that can be very, very uncomfortable. Okay. The second one is that loss aversion is a real thing, right? So psychologically, losing hurts us or feels, more intense than obviously like when we have a gain. So even a small dip in the market can feel threatening to most people, or people who struggle with anxiety or money anxiety. It's like, oh my gosh, let me take it out right now. And it's like, just give it a day. It's just going to go back up and you're going to be so grateful that you didn't touch it, right? And I remember, I'm not judging, because I remember when I first started investing and when I was tracking and I saw the numbers, I'm like, oh my gosh, and then I would see these high days. I'm like, oh wow, okay. But you got to take it. Listen, you got to take the good with the bad, right? The highs and the lows, literally. Number 3 is that any past financial instability matters, right? So if you grew up around a lot of financial loss or stress, investing can feel very like reckless. Even if you are being very strategic with it, right? You don't have to be an expert or financial, one of those people who work on Wall Street, whatever you call it, I don't know. But you don't have to be one of those people to invest, so just make sure we're clear with that. But if you've ever made any type of mistakes with your finances or with your money, investing can feel like you're going back down that path. So maybe you're someone who struggles with gambling, right? Think about it. And you guys know I'm a licensed addictions therapist in North Carolina, so I deal with this. I've worked with plenty of clients who struggle with addiction or gambling, which is, it can be, an addiction. And so it can feel like that. It can feel like it can give you a very similar high. And so sometimes your family can look at you sideways and be like, oh, what you doing? Like, I thought you were over that. I thought you weren't gambling no more. You invest in this money, you basically doing the same thing. And so you can feel like you have to hide it or feel like you don't want to do it at all because it's kind of, feels very familiar and similar in that way. Or you may feel like it's going to trigger you to go back to gambling. So there's a lot of things around that, a lot of information and a lot of thoughts and reflection that you have to do around that just to make sure that you aren't using it almost like a substitute, right? And so just people who struggle with gambling can definitely feel this piece a little bit more than others, right? So it's just very, very, very important to be aware of that. All right, the fourth thing I wanted to say is that investing feels like risking your safety, right? Especially for women, or if you're a caregiver, or I don't want to say just women, because men could feel this way too. But I would say if you're a caregiver, if you're the family hero, if you're the breadwinner, anyone who has a lot of responsibility, I would say, right? If you're investing your money instead of saving it, or instead of paying off debt, or instead of what else would you? I would say paying off debt or investing it or saving it. It can feel like you're making the wrong choice, right? It can feel like you're risking the family's money. You know what I mean? Like, you just throwing it away. Like, what are you doing? We need to pay our mortgage. Like, why are you putting this money into this market when it's going to go down because somebody at one of these corporations said something on TV or on Twitter, and now it's down, and you could have made an extra payment on the mortgage. So it can feel like you are just like risking the money and not being responsible. So it's just something to be mindful of. All right, the last thing I wanted to say is that we can get past the fear and anxiety of investing through a few ways, right? Through strategies. So through education, right? So I would say or suggest obviously working with a financial expert, financial advisor who specifically works in investing and knows about investments, so they can educate you on what this stuff looks like. The S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones. Like, what does that mean? What is a Roth? What is an IRA? What is the 401k? What is the 457b? What's the difference? How do I add here? How much can I put in? What's the max? Is there a max contribution? Can I take this directly out of my paycheck, or does it need to come out, do I need to automate it, after I get paid? Like, there's so many things so many answers that you need. So a lot of education can help you decrease that fear. I would also say starting small. I always tell people when I talk about investing, start with $25. Like, at the end of the day, that's like a Chipotle bowl and a cup of coffee. Let's be for real. You can handle that. Now, there was days when that was a lot for me, so I know, right? I get it. But more than likely, you can handle $25. Or maybe it's not $25. Like, maybe it's like, I'm going to do $10 out this paycheck and $10 out this second paycheck of the month, and that's $20 right there. And at the end of the month, I'm going to do $20. Whatever it feels good for you, but just start small and kind of see what that feels like, and work yourself up, right? I would say consistency. So start small, but also be consistent. So every paycheck, you're putting $5, $10, $15 toward investing, and get into the rhythm of that and see how that feels for your body. See how your nervous system responds to that. And then understanding volatility. So the market is going to constantly be up and down. That's just how it works. Like, I promise you. And once you start understanding that, you don't get nervous. Like, it doesn't even bother you. And you shouldn't be watching it every day anyway. I mean, I do, but whatever. I can handle it though. But if you are nervous about it, if you're unaware, I wouldn't suggest watching it every day, but just understanding that up and down, it's natural, it's part of it. Okay, now that is all I have for this video. I hope you like this video. If you do, like, comment, subscribe, share. And if you want to work one-on-one with me via therapy, check out my link in the description. If you want financial coaching or anything like that, same link. See you guys tomorrow for day 17.